welcome to this track breakdown for the new song Trials, The Trials by Blue Alatar. It's out today. It's on all the major streaming platforms. I'm not going to promote any one of them because they're all basically evil. If you want to get it, you can go to Ko-fi and you can download it from Ko-fi, and that way I actually get some of the money. I don't really know where to start, but I guess the thing to do is to play the song. Let's play the song. Here we go. Alrighty, I think it is worth saying that that is not the final EQ, not quite the final mix either. I think the room send is missing, just because I exported all of these out as audio to then take into the final mix and master project. So, but it's essentially the same thing, yeah. So I think we just go top to bottom and just talk about these individual tracks, except for this one, which I'm going to put down here, and we'll come to that later. Drums. The drums were provided by my good friend Mr. Harry Beasley. We recorded him playing his electronic kit, and then we recorded the MIDI into Cubase, and then we routed that into Studio Drummer. And the reason we did that was so that we could get a good but tweakable recording. So if we decided down the line, that the snare needed to be slightly lower or higher, then we could do that. If we decided, actually, I liked the fill he was playing, but I feel like he hit the wrong cymbal, so we can change that cymbal after the fact. That's not true. That's the kind of thing you're supposed to say when you talk about recording MIDI drums. The real reason is, I don't have space for a drum kit. Are you kidding? Much less to mic it up properly in a way that won't destroy my relationship with my neighbours. No, it's just easier. And also we had the convenience of being able to tweak individual things if we wanted to. This is what we did. We recorded 2 or 3 takes of each song, and then in the final take, I usually just let them, whoever I'm playing with, go ham, just do whatever they want. And there's usually 2 or 3 bits, especially with the fills in those situations where you want to just grab those fills, copy, paste them into the version you use. That's what we did. And we had the advantage of being able to change, crash cymbal 1 to a China cymbal or a splash or whatever. But we're going into Studio Drummer, and I basically didn't touch his performance other than swapping in and out specific fills, but it is essentially what he played. Most of his kick drums on the 1 beat are like quite neatly on the 1. The snares are a little bit ahead, the hi-hats are a little bit behind, but it's doing that kind of thing that I don't mind. I don't mind that being a bit loose. So we start off with this slightly more it's a little bit reggae inspired intro. Yeah, so that sort of thing is going to feel a bit more loose. We start off at a lower tempo. We're at 151. Then the rest of the song is at 166, and it is a great deal more frantic. If you're looking at these MIDI clips and wondering what all these crazy lines are, that is the CC command for the hi-hat, for the foot control. So we have one hi-hat note, and then the openness of that note is determined by the CC controller that we got from Harry's foot pedal, which is something that I learned you could do when we recorded this. Good old Cubase, full of surprises. A bit to highlight here is this yellow section, which is just ridiculous. Yeah, no notes. Absolutely perfect. In terms of processing for the drums, I've got this EQ setting. I think it's based on Monster Drums. Maybe I didn't tweak it at all, who knows. And I'm using the Vintage Compressor by Cubase as well. I think we started with the Funk preset. I tend to keep the mix sort of around 25% for this kind of thing. Harry spent, I think, 2 or 3 days recording drums for this and for the Kicking and Screaming EP, which came out last year. And he did one more, and I'm not sure what I'm doing with that one track. You will see. Beasley is an excellent drummer. He's travelling at the moment, and I hope that if he comes back, we get to play together some more, because he's a lot of fun. Let's move on to Mark's bass. I recorded the bass, I wrote the bass rather, with MIDI. I wrote that and then realised I think this could benefit from a real player. If it's like a straightforward rock bass, then I will usually just do it. I'm quite good at fretless bass, but I'm not particularly fast with fretted bass. So I give my friend Mark a call. Mark and I have known each other for years on years, maybe 20 years at this point, and I've worked with him and his band a bunch. He's a great bassist, but he's a really great musician in general. That's true of Harry as well, it's worth saying. Mark's a great musician. I've worked with his band Lad Maverick a bunch as well. So yeah, Mark played this bass and no notes. In terms of processing, we use the round and clicky preset on frequency, And again, the vintage compressor, the basic bass preset. I think maybe the compressor's a little bit higher than I would normally have it there in terms of mix. Mark puts in quite a lot of energy into his picking hand, so I wanted to make sure that we get that kind of clicky sort of sound through. He did a great job. I'm used to working with bassists where quite often you have to like arrange things a little bit, just kind of tighten things up. I didn't have to for this. Let's talk about me. We've got a bunch of guitars. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers of guitar. The top one here is the 8-string. That only comes in for this yellow section. I'm not a great 8-string player. I enjoy it conceptually. I'm quite loose, and you can see that. If you put all the guitars together, they sort of sound all right in that little bit. I just wanted a big, messy wall of guitars, so I'm not worried too much about like really rigidly tightening up that 8-string. I'm using Guitar Rig. I'm using I think this is a preset of some kind. Oh yeah, the high gain breather preset. And I've turned off the tube screamer. This is quite a basic sound. Gain is all the way up, very neutral, not a lot of room mic. Yeah, not a lot to say about that. I tend not to worry too much about, especially things that are just in there to add a layer of density. I'm not going to be meticulous about the sounds I'm using. We've got the left and right hand guitars. These are mostly doubles. So the left hand guitar is doing most of the stuff. We've got the same preset as the 8-string, but with the tube screamer on. And then we've got a bit of EQ, which is the rhythm electric guitar chug, I think. Yeah, the rhythm electric guitar chug preset. That's kind of leading the way, and that's pushed quite far to the left, into the left ear. The right hand guitar likewise pushed quite far into the right, 85% there. We're using the Ramfire amplifier here, and no EQ apparently. These guitars are basically doing the same thing. Again, not like my most precise playing. I was sort of, I didn't want to tidy things up too much because I like that kind of frenetic energy. I think also the only time these guitars play something slightly different, I think, is this green section. Yeah, otherwise they're playing the same thing. Lead guitar, what have we got here? Again, it's me. We're using Guitar Rig with the Rammstein amplifiers. We're using the electric guitar ear candy preset. I think I've knocked off a bit more of the low end than we would start with in that preset, and I'm using mono delay. It's set to that. Have I got any automation going on? I'm automating the level of the feedback. So you can see here, for example, I want it to, in this kind of empty section going back into the slow outro bit, I want to have a lot more delay going on. So we're just increasing the delay there, so it goes on forever. And it does some interesting stuttery stuff because we're changing the tempo here. I want to talk about why it is we do a dip in tempo and then a rise in tempo rather than just going from 166 to 151. We go down to 130 and then rise back up. We're going to talk about that when I get to the arpeggio synthesizer. I am also automating the pan of this guitar. So when it's these kind of calm sections, it's much more central, and then for these frantic sections, it's off to the side. Again, I'm not tidying up these tracks very much. That wasn't the vibe for this one. Normally it would be. Clean guitar, this only comes in the intro and outro. That's kind of really obviously where we get that kind of slightly skanky reggae feel. I'm using the same fire breather amplifier. I've just turned the gain right the way down and then messed with the EQ ever so slightly, and then shoved a compressor on it as well, just to give it a bit more of a kind of a funk swell, I guess. And that's shoved off to the side, and I think at the end here you don't really hear it. It's just vibing off in the corner. That brings us to Dulcimer. Dulcimer is, I would say, the lead instrument for this song, played by the very skilled Ellie Winter from Tape Runs Out, and I believe many other projects. Ellie came over and recorded the Dulcimer there, just out of camera shot, just over there, around the side. We used a few different microphones. I think by the looks of it, I had a pair of C430s, which are like drum overheads, because I didn't have a matching pair of anything. So I used those. There was some internal microphones in the Dulcimer itself, and the main body sound is coming from the SE2000 condenser microphone. So this is just the condenser. And then just the overheads. So that's adding a bit more high end, a bit more just a kind of pleasant room stereo sound. The condenser is, I think, very much providing the body there. And then we also have the internal microphones. I think are they contact mics? I didn't ask. Which is actually quite nice. In terms of the EQ, I'm losing a lot of low end from all of these because it's a slightly rumbly instrument. It's an old acoustic instrument, so it's a little bit rumbly. So I'm taking off a lot of the low end, as you can see here, and then a little bit of the high end as well for the condenser. We are also envelope shaping, so we get a little more impact there. The stereo overheads, again, we're losing a lot of low end, and we've got a bit of stereo widening going on. And then the internals, we're just losing some low end. We're pretty substantially compressed, and then we've got further EQ going on as well to again remove an old instrument. It's rumbly, to remove more low end and then give a little top end boost there as well. Those are all going through a group track. Why is that hard to say? These are all going through a group track. There we go. This has got a touch of EQ going on. We have a maximizer just to bring the overall level up. We're basically just limiting there. There is a rotary effect and a delay that comes in this section here. I basically wanted to do some Led Zeppelin stuff. So that's what that is. That brings us to strings. We've just essentially doubling the kind of the chromatic phrase, the chromatic motif, I guess. I think it's chromatic. Again, we're doing Led Zeppelin stuff here. Yeah, it's got a little bit of chromaticism going on there. We are using a Native Instruments Discovery Series Middle East string section because I like it very much, and it does give that kind of cashmere sort of sound. We've got a little bit of EQ going on. I think we started with the pad and strings 1 preset. We're losing a lot of low end. We're losing a bit around 1.5K, and then we've kind of got a top end boost here as well with a boost at about 3K as well. And then stereo enhancing, we're just making it wider. I think the strings is something that makes this track really cool, but I don't think you hear it. Maybe you hear it the first time when it's just that and the guitar. But then when everything's doing it, I don't know if you actually hear it. It just kind of becomes one of the layers, right? So that's just that repeating phrase that I really like. Speaking of native instruments, we have got laws. I don't think this was a preset. I think I just hit the random button until I got something I wanted. I like laws a lot. I like the idea that you have a pad that sort of feels like someone's playing something. I'm a big fan of that. So we've got the viola da gamba, voice and alto flute. And let's have a look at what they're actually doing. We kind of get a pad effect for the yellow section here. And that's paired with another pad. Padshop, in fact. Chromium alloy. I don't know if I tweaked the preset that much. And in tandem with the folky effects pad. They work really well together. As you can see, we have a very rapid drop off in amplitude to go into the section that's just got the dulcimer by itself. Yeah, I want to have that really rapid drop off just to contrast, because it's a dense sound, right? I want it to kind of have this super dense sound that just sort of gets snatched away from you as we go into this really pleasant dulcimer section. We also have a synthesizer. This track is a little bit of a return to the kind of instrumental Osric Tentacles style stuff that I got started with doing Blue Alatar. I wouldn't say it was one last hurrah for that kind of thing, but I really like doing the band stuff, like the Kicking and Screaming EP, and working with Sai to do vocals and feeling like I have a band. But I also really like dense, crunchy, psychedelic, world-inspired instrumental stuff like this. So I kind of wanted to get it out of my system a little bit, and part of that, as well as having these kind of world instruments and these kind of like Eastern sounding scales and such, is synthesizers. So we have this arpeggio going on. I think I'm using Retrologue. Looks like I built this from scratch, which there are some great presets in Retrologue that I don't use. I tend to just build stuff from scratch. This is what it sounds like. It's an arpeggio. It's doing arpeggio things. We've got some EQ going on just to take away some of that mid around the 1K mark, and then some of the low end as well. It's doing some panning, just slowly going back and forth. The thing that's really cool about this is the tempo changes. So you can hear it, and it filters out a little bit for this one, but you can still sort of hear it as the tempo changes in this section. You can sort of feel it ramping up there a little bit. And I said we'd come back to this, but the section, the break between the frantic section and the calm outro section, where we have the tempo change, this is because of the synthesizer. I wanted the synthesizer to kind of feel like it was increasing in tempo into the calm section, and of course that only works if you dip down much slower than you intend to be. There it is, and again we do the same sort of thing at the end. We ramp up the tempo, so we end up at something silly like 240 BPM as the arpeggio is filtering out. I also think it's interesting, I must have forgotten that we had an auto pan on. I should have probably disabled that before I did this automation, but I didn't, so whatever. We have some automation going on. I think we're sort of controlling... Well, let's open up and see what we're doing. Oh yeah, so I'm filtering things like resonance and cutoff. You know, normal things for a kind of acid sounding synthesizer like this. In terms of chords, it's basically following the pads most of the time. Yeah, it's adding some cool motion, some cool sort of synthetic layers. That's about all that the arpeggio is doing. And that brings us to the Easter eggs here. This is instrumental. It does have voices in it. Again, this is just pulled out of the Osric Tentacles playbook. Harry said something really funny during recording that I'm not going to repeat here for reasons of monetization. So I took it, I reversed it, and added a bunch of different delay effects onto it. I think there's 2 layers of delay here going on, and you can see there's a bit of crazy automation. Not that crazy. There's some very medium automation, but I think that was bounced in and out a few times as well as being reversed. So that's just adding a weird little layer in this section. Yeah, I just wanted to add some real world nonsense into it. That's the track, The Trials. It is available everywhere. All of the evil distribution platforms. I would prefer it if you went to Ko-fi, LTGuitarist, Ko-fi, because I actually get some of the money from that purchase. Like most of it is what I'm saying. I know that I get some from the other places. I get most of the income from Ko-fi. So go buy my track, please, and thank you. Do I have anything else to say? No, that basically is everything. Behave. All right, see ya.